Hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com. I'm playing World of Tanks. This video is going to be a brief overview about everything that I've learned about crew skills and how to optimize them and make them the best they could possibly be. If you want to know in detail how to do all the things that I've done, you should watch all the other videos because I've gone into great detail. And this is just a teaser to show you the amazing things you can do with crew skills. So let's start with the M5 Stuart. You'll notice my M5 Stuart, my commander has 3 skills, and the rest of the guys only have 1, which is common for this tank. What I did was I took this commander from some other tank, like maybe my T69. You see over here this loader? I probably took my loader and made him the commander of my M5 Stuart so I could get the Sixth Sense and the Recon and the Camouflage. And the reason why, when you look at all the skills, the commander has the most skills and perks that are really good. Somebody like the loader, his skills and perks that you have to choose from, there's not a lot to choose from. And the same with the radio operator. The radio operator has a lot of good ones for low tier tanks, but when you get a high tier tank, they have very powerful radios, so things like signal boosting are not that important. The driver has things like clutch braking, but how often do you use clutch braking? You use it very rarely. So why get those skills? And the gunner, I'm just going to do a refresh here. He's got some good skills. I mean, snapshot is more important in low tier games, but when you have, for example, a heavy tank, it might not matter so much. How often do you have a damaged gun? The armorer is not very useful. It's very rare I have a damaged gun. Deadeye is important. Designated target is okay, but if you read up on it, you're going to find that it probably comes into play very infrequently in the game. So what happens is, number one, when you go to your commander, he's got repairs and firefighting, brothers in arms, it's all great, everybody has it. But he's also got Sixth Sense and Recon and Mentor and Jack of all trades. Those 4 skills are awesome skills to have, and you want to have those skills. The commander has the absolute best skills. You don't want all of your crew members to have the same number of skills. You want the commander to have more. In a higher tier, having 2 or 3 skills, I'd say 3 skills for everybody, is pretty good. In a lower tier, you want your radio operator to have more because your radio is probably not that powerful. The driver has a lot of skills having to do with performance, like driving faster, clutch braking, accuracy. You want to get all those at some point. The gunner has, I would say, a couple of skills. I'd say that the driver has more that come into play more often. The loader, not so much. He's got some stupid things over here, like intuition you're never going to use. Safe stowage you're probably never going to use, unless maybe if you get into a clan battle, you're probably going to want it. How often do you get ammo racked? You probably get ammo racked once every 50 games, once every 100 games. If you don't know what it is, there you have it. You don't need it. You're almost never going to get ammo racked. It does happen, but it rarely happens, so don't worry about it. So adrenaline rush, even so, you only use it when you're low on hit points. And how often are you low on hit points? Your last shot of the game, when you're one more shot from dying because you've got 10% of your hit points left, that's the only time that this comes into play. Not very useful. So to have 1 skill, Camouflage, is really all you need. And of course you'd want to get brothers in arms. But the firefighting, you're going to use the automatic fire extinguisher. And the repairs, you're going to use the repair kits. So you don't need a lot of skills. You want the commander to have the most skills. Get another tank, such as this one, who has a lot of skills, and move your some of your players into your other tanks. And he was probably the commander on that other tank. Okay, now second of all, you have to prioritize your skills. If you don't know what to get Camouflage. No brainer. Camouflage allows you to hide. Number 2, anything that you can see further, recon and situational awareness, get those skills. Anything that causes more damage, which is going to be for the gunner, get those skills. If you're a tank destroyer, anything that causes more accuracy, you probably want that skill. Same with an SPG. If you are traveling frequently all over the map, you probably want a good radio operator. Excuse me. So if you move around the map and you're really fast and you go all over the place, you want to have radio operator skills so you're always in touch. And your SPG wants to have the best radio operator skills so he's always in touch. An SPG without a good radio is completely worthless. So those are the basic rules that I follow with my crew skills. If you have any questions, you can view in detail my other videos that explain how to do it, how to earn them, how to situate them, how to use all the options on the interface. I'm going to show you another example. You'll notice that this guy has 85%. But the rest of them are all 60, and the reason why is because I go over here to the personal file and I use the increase option, which might not be available in your game. And I use this to bump him up because he's my only Japanese tank. The only way, you want the commander to have more skills, the only way he's ever going to have that right now is if I use that feature to increase his skills. I'm going to look through my tanks. Okay, there's one more trick. He has Sixth Sense as his first skill. However, it was not originally his first skill. His first skill was probably either Camouflage or Recon. Once it got to 100%, I paid to have it Sixth Sense, which is a perk, which means it doesn't work until it's 100%. So, and then I started with Recon and Camo again. So that's another one of the tricks you want to use. Another thing is you've got this option here. It's called Improve Ventilation. You can use this. You can see that my crew is at 105%, 116%. That's from the ventilation. You have consumables, which are, for example, the Strong Coffee, 10% to crew skills and perks, only good for one game. People might use them for Clan Wars, for example, I've heard. Now, the last option is there is something called Mentor and Brothers in Arms. You can actually make it so that you can get to, let's say, 125%. So let's say you come over here and you go to training. I'm sure you've all seen this. You get the free version, the one you pay 20,000 silver, the one you pay 200 gold. If your commander has the Mentor skill, I'll show it to you. If your commander has the Mentor skill, right here, it will increase this 87%. And if you have those vents, it will increase those 87%. So you can actually get it up to 100% without paying for the 100% training. Pay for the lower percentage. They probably started at 85%. You'll notice that sometimes it says 60, 75. Over here, usually it says 50. For some reason, it says 64. I don't know the reason why. So what you can do is get a better commander that has the Mentor skill, get the vents, and you can use the consumables, etc., and you can get these guys up to 100% without paying for that training. Okay, so this was just a brief overview to show you what it's like. So if you want additional details, please see my other videos. I have this premium tank, which is the IS-6. It has my best crew. You'll notice that the loader, however, does not have 97%. And the reason why that happened is probably because the tank that came before it, there was probably a tank somewhere along the line that only had 3 crew members. So while those 3 crew members were advancing, the 4th guy wasn't. And when we got up to this tier, we've got a guy who lagged behind. You'll notice with the STI, it has an extra crew member. That extra crew member means that he's going to have a lower skill. You can see that my commander has 3. These other guys have 2. I took one of these loaders and I moved him into another tank to make him the commander somewhere else. So you will have situations where one tank, I'm going to show you on the tech tree, I'm going to show you with the French tanks. The Somua, at the bottom it says 3 crew members. The Sarl has 4 crew members. So if you're training crew with the Somua, once you get to the Sarl, you're going to have a new guy you have to add who's going to start from 0, which is why you're going to get that imbalance. Now let's look at my KV2. What do you see? 6 crew members. They all... It's better to train crew on tanks that have 6 crew members as opposed to a tank that has 4 crew members, because they don't split the experience. If the tank earns 1,000, everybody gets 1,000 each. That would be 6,000 for this tank and 4,000 for that tank. So use tanks, for example, like the KV2 or the Yag Tiger, which has 6 crew. Use these tanks to train your crew. You'll notice my E25 only has 4 crew members, which I share. I can send these guys to the barracks and bring them into my E25 using this option, plus any one of these guys. So he's sharing 4 of these guys with the Yag Tiger, but the Yag Tiger can train 2 extra guys. So that's one of the features you want to take advantage of. Also, accelerate crew training. You earn what's called free experience, but what you can do is the accelerate crew training, instead of getting the free experience, it will train one of your weaker guys here. So that's another technique you can use. Find your tanks that train more people and use these tanks to train those people. And then use the features, which you'll see here, change. You know, you pick a different tank and you can change his position and train it with one tank and then give him a new assignment for another tank once your training is finished. Usually when you sell a tank, that's when you do the training, which I'll explain later. You'll notice here I've got 4 guys I could pick from. Of the loaders here, you could pick, for example, this guy. And with this tank, he came from the Martyr. The Martyr was like a tier 3 tank, and this is a tier 7 tank. So he's going to get double the experience with this tank. Plus it's a premium tank. He's actually going to get 3 times the experience because there's a 50% bonus. So if you want, you could take your low tier tanks, play a couple of games with this, and he will quickly advance. I'll show you. He needs 41 to increase to the next skill. This guy needs 8,191. So this tank, in one game, this 36% could easily go up to 50%. This 94% will probably be at 94% after one game. So use your tanks to train use your higher tier tanks to train your lower tier crew. Be aware of what you got in your barracks. I got a lot of guys in my barracks, right? So what happens is you'll see I've got this medium tank. This is one of the low tanks in the game, but he's got some skill. Don't ever throw these away. Don't ever get rid of a guy who has some skill. Even if it's at like 1% or 5%, keep all of them. If you go through my barracks, you'll see this guy has 17%. This guy actually has no skills and perks. This guy I could get rid of. He was just an extra guy. He's going to be no use to me. But you'll notice this other guy who was on the same tank with him has 31%. So keep him. I have enough barracks to hold enough of these guys, and a lot of them have skills. And if you go through, you'll find that a lot of them have... I find guys that have 2 skills, and they're not in a tank. So what I do is I go find these tanks, like, for example, down here, the loader, and I go through my barracks and I find a guy who has 2 skills, and I swap them in. Let's see if we got one here. No. So he's already doing pretty good. I don't see anybody that has 2 skills to swap him with unless they come from another tank. But that's another trick you want to use. Okay, so this is just a brief overview. watch my other videos to see obviously the detailed information. The last thing I want to share is that sometimes they have a mission where you get some sort of a bonus for crew training. So always watch out for what's going on. For example, I think one of these one of the ones that has to do with my tank destroyer has some sort of a bonus for crew, but I don't know which one it is. Here's one: crew experience 2,500 is a reward. It's for team battle. Don't worry about that. But keep an eye and look at what the rewards are. Sometimes they have bonuses, and when they have the bonuses, if it's a percentage, if it says, oh, you get an extra 50%, you want to use your best vehicles in terms of experience. So my Black Prince, I know it's only been one battle, he gets 989 average experience. Use him to train your crew. Of my list, the tanks that I still own, that I've done a lot of battles, IS-3. He happens to also have my best crew, 696. It's better to use him on when they say, oh, today we're doing double the crew training all day long. Just play this tank all day long and train up that crew, as opposed to using one of these tanks. Or take the crew from one of your lower tanks, put him into the IS-3, run it in the IS-3 all day long, and then switch it back into the lower tank. Now you might say, I don't want to pay for that. But again, if you have something like the IS-3, the crew is over here right now. If you see over here it says 110%, if you can get it up to 125%, the most I have is 116, then, and you can get it up to 125%, people have 126%, then you can swap your guys without using gold. You can swap them using the silver, which I've explained earlier. So you can use a high tier tank to train your lower tier players, but you got to have the right crew. You got to have a commander that has the commander bonus. I don't know what this commander bonus is. You'll see over here it says major qualification 110%, 100 plus 10. There's some sort of a commander bonus. I'm not sure. See, over here it says commander's bonus under modifiers. If you get mentor, you get the extra, I don't know, 5 or 10%. You get the ventilation, you get an extra 5 or 6%, or an extra 5%. So you can get this up to 125, and then when you do the training, you choose the regiment school, or in this case, I could have chosen the free one. With the free one, I only need this number to get up to 120%. If I had vents and mentor for my commander, I'd be able to do it, and I would be able to train them in a higher tier tank for free, and then move them back into the lower tier when you're finished. So that's why it's very important to have the correct skills. And it's a possibility. I'm going to read up on Mentor just to see how to do it. If I can get one of these tanks with these guys at 100% for free, then I'm going to do it more often. In fact, let's see. Let's do an experiment. It said, we're going to go over here, we're going to do personal file, we're going to do training. Free is 51%. Regiment school, okay, we have to hit current vehicle first. 75%. Plus he's going to get the 10% bonus. It would go up to 85%. It's not enough. I wonder what this minus 16% is. It says unsuitable specification. I don't have this SPG anymore. So I'm going to pay for the free training and see what happens. He went up to 60%. Let's see if we can get one that's higher. I'm going to take this guy, go over here, go to training. 100%, 90, 80. When I hit current vehicle, it's probably going to change. Okay, so for free, I can get him to 60%, right? Plus, he's going to get the 10 bonus. I have to go, so I'll explain this in another video.